So, Mike, here we are again. So, what do you got to say about this passage? This is the Sunday when we move to the call of the disciples, isn't it? And we've got this.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So it's when in chapter 1, the end of chapter 1 of John's Gospel, and Philip is called by Jesus, and also he then calls Nathanael, who comes to Jesus. And Philip says to Nathanael, come and see the one about whom Moses and also the prophets wrote, Jesus, son of Joseph from Nazareth. And Nathanael says, can any good come out of Nazareth? Which is a phrase that's dripping with irony, because whether it's flippant or whether it's kind of scornful, we're not quite sure. And apparently Cana was a bit more upper crust than Nazareth. It was a bit like, Waitrose to Aldi. So whether he was being a bit snooty about this, we don't know. But whether it was cynicism or whether it was wit, the answer Philip gave was quite right. Come and see. Come and see. And the irony, of course, is, can any good come out of Nazareth? All good comes out of Nazareth in the person of Jesus. But kind of undergirding this is a theme that runs through John's Gospel, which is about where is Jesus from? And the authorities at various times shift the goalposts. At one time, they're arguing he can't possibly be the Messiah because they know where he's from. And then elsewhere, they argue that unlike the prophets that they know, we don't know where this guy is from, and they dismiss him on that account. And only Pilate asks directly, where are you from?
Yeah. And
by that stage, Jesus is silent, because Pilate and everybody else should know where he's from by that stage, but they don't. But the other thing about this whole passage is it's dripping with kind of like allusions to Jesus as the messianic fulfillment. So, for instance, he calls Nathanael a true Israelite in whom there is no guile. Now that echoes Zephaniah 3, the faithful remnant of Israel in whom there is no deceit. And why is Nathanael the one without deceit? Because he is the one who comes to confess very quickly, ironically, perhaps without knowing what he's saying, you are the Son of God. You are the King of Israel. This is indeed the one in whom there is no deceit. Or the allusion that Jesus gives to him being under the fig tree, which is an allusion again to Micah 4, where actually in the messianic age of fulfillment, people will be resting under their fig trees and there will be no deceit. So you've got these little hints and these suggestions by Jesus about who he is in the middle of this. And one more is when he talks about Jacob's ladder. You know, that bit about, you will see the
angels ascending and descending.
And descending on the Son of Man. But unlike Jacob's dream, where Jacob saw a ladder going up to heaven and the angels going up and down it, here what we have is Jesus is the ladder. He is the Son of Man. So he is the one that connects heaven and earth. And what's more, the word for ladder in Hebrew is very close to the word lifted up or exalted. And 3 more times in John's Gospel, we see Jesus riddling his way through a conversation about his death with reference to him being lifted up and exalted. So you can see, even at this early stage in John's Gospel, in his first engagement with Nathanael, Jesus is giving hints and tutoring them about who he is, where he's from, what he's about, and what his purpose is. But easily missed because, of course, we're not freighted with the awareness of the scriptures that he's utilizing.
But that's partly the pattern. I mean, what John's Gospel does, it kind of gives us all the clues at the start. So in the earlier section with the call of the first 2 disciples, and Andrew running off to Peter saying, we found the Messiah, there is the first declaration of who he is, but then they basically forget. You get out of chapter 1 and you forget who he is. But we've been given all the clues at the beginning. I'm really struck by this figure of Nathanael. Of course, we don't know he's from Cana until the end of the gospel. There's no reference to Cana here. So we don't know, and it's the only other time Nathanael appears, and of course he doesn't appear in the synoptics lists of the disciples, and he appears at the Lake Tiberias when the disciples meet fishing and meet Jesus when he after the resurrection, and there he's referred to as Nathanael of Cana, and so there's an oddity here about leaving out the reference to Cana. Because, of course, he does see far more than just being recognized under the fig tree at the wedding in Cana, which is, the next chapter, and we get into that very quickly. So you've got so there's quite a lot going on in terms of how the way in which this is being structured and the picture we get of Nathanael. So I was. The whole question about being under the fig tree, there are some, I think early interpreters that assumed that actually it was rabbis that would sit under a fig tree and teach or write, and the reference to the law and the prophets was a signal to some that he was learned or indeed a rabbi. In fact, apparently Augustine, on the grounds that he was learned because he was under the fig tree, says that he's therefore not one of the disciples because he was too learned. And you think, okay.
Oh dear. PhDs need not apply.
Yes, but what I'm struck by is this progression in discipleship. So Philip makes the first move. We get this wonderful response from Nathanael, can anything good come out of Nazareth? And Philip, I think, and it's a great example to all of us, does not start debating about the good that could come out of Nazareth. He doesn't start telling him how wonderful Nazareth is. He doesn't start telling him, arguing with him about, what is possible from Nazareth and so forth. And he simply says, "Come and see." And I would place the guilelessness, the true Israelite quality of Nathanael in the fact, first of all, that he does exactly that. He goes with Philip to see, and one of the dynamics in the gospel, of course, is that the Jesus's fellow Jews, and particularly the leaders of the faith, choose not to see. They are described as blind. Nathanael is the one who chooses to come and see. So that's the first stage. And then he starts to wrestle with what's it like, what does it mean to be known by this person, Jesus? Oh, you knew me because you saw me under the fig tree. That's how you knew me. And Jesus then starts to take him deeper into that journey. So there's this, I think, one of the kind of powerful vignette of the dynamics of discipleship, which of course then culminate in the gospel with him witnessing the resurrection.
Yeah, that's really interesting, because I hadn't thought about that before. But when Philip says "come and see," then Nathanael must have the presumption that in some way he's blind, because if he thought, "I already see it," he wouldn't need to. And that picks up Jesus in John chapter 9 when he says to the Pharisees, "If you were blind, you would have no sin, but because you say you see,
absolutely,
your sin remains."
Yeah, and of course, echoes. This is the second time we've got "come and see" in John's gospel. It appears 4 times, that phrase, but the first time, of course, is Jesus himself saying to those first 2 disciples when they say, when he says, "What are you looking for?" And they, we better say something. Oh, where do you live? And he says, come and see.
Yeah.
So you've got this, this extraordinary, powerful invitation going on, which,
Yeah,
as I say,
layers beyond layers, aren't there? As ever with John.
absolutely. Good. Thank you very much. Thank you.